Hello and welcome. Should we just say it all in unison?
Hello and welcome back to Young Old, the best podcast in the podcast marketplace.
I hate that you've made that our slogan.
Two sisters talk about dumb shit. We hope you like it. 'Cause if not, then we'll kill ourselves and the blood will be on your hands. Young Old!
Well, I think it's a good way to differentiate ourselves. How are we different from other podcasts? We're the best one.
Well, Logan Paul says it Impulsive, like the #1 podcast in the world or something.
Yeah, but we're not saying we're the number one podcast.
But we're saying the best
We're saying
podcast in the podcast marketplace.
Yeah.
We're not saying the
Okay.
world. We're saying specifically the marketplace.
No,
Yeah.
but his thing
And
is
we don't
also-
specify which marketplace. It could be the marketplace of ideas.
That's
so
tea.
true.
That's tea. We don't say which marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
On like a clip that you posted, somebody commented, "I just love her tummy heart eyes," and I was like, that person needs to go to jail.
That person's going to prison.
That person
I
needs to
was
go to
thinking it's
jail.
like I understand the sentiment and it still is like creepy to see. What is it when you get a compliment that like in a vacuum you're like, I guess that's nice, but like
It's just
the
like
fact that it's
so
coming from an internet
uniquely
stranger.
creepy. Also,
Yeah.
just like tummy is like,
Well, it's like
I do have
they
to
were
play
like-
devil's advocate
Well,
here. And yes, the person who left that comment
when
is the devil. You sit here with your tummy out front and center pretty much every app, and you get one comment that's complimentary to your tummy, and you act like it's,
but if
it's
he
out of
said,
bounds.
if they said, I'm assuming it's a he, because what kind of woman?
I
makes
actually
that
think it's a
comment?
woman, to
You
be
no,
honest.
think?
it was a man. I clicked on
Oh.
it. Because
Oh,
if it was
okay.
a woman, I would.
Then it's not
then
weird.
if it's a
But
woman,
if it's a man,
yeah.
jail. Okay, but if he said, I appreciate her stomach.
That's weirder.
I don't know. Something about I just love her tummy heart eyes. It's just like really gets to me.
Here's my thing. I do consider myself to be somewhat of a modern day Buddha.
Buddha? Buddha?
Buddha.
And
Buddha.
people will rub your tummy for good luck.
Yeah, like,
Do
I
people rub
know-
his head or his tummy.
his tummy,
Okay.
I think.
Are you supposed to rub him? I thought. Or do
Yeah.
people just rub like the statues of him?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we don't
Well,
have
no,
access
we
to
don't.
the real
He's-
Buddha
yeah, he's
anymore.
Well, I
not.
know it's
He's
good
long
luck
gone.
if you run up and give Jesus a noogie, but I don't know
Also,
what part
I
of
realized
Buddha you're
as
supposed
I was
to rub.
talking that my tummy was out, so I quickly pulled the blanket
Well,
because
today
I'm
I
not
happened
trying to be
wearing
exposing.
a sweatshirt, not because
We only
I'm-
have one tummy exposer on this pod.
And this week it's supposed to be me.
Yeah, Robert.
We draw straws before
Yeah.
every app.
Crop it, crop that shards.
Crop that shard.
Yeah.
Everyone chant along at home.
Crop that shards.
Crop that
I'm
shards.
weeping. I'm like,
I do think more crop tops for men is a vibe. Like,
I've seen
you know what?
many crop
I'm gonna
tops. It's
say-
never been.
I'm
a
gonna
vibe.
just declare this.
It's never a
it's
vibe.
boy crop top summer.
Okay.
So last summer was brat summer or whatever. This
Yeah.
summer is boys are wearing crop tops.
I will say, from a branding perspective,
Right.
it leaves a little bit to be desired.
Totally, 100%. Well, it's also, it's like, it's only inclusive of one gender, and that one gender probably is not gonna wanna wear crop
I
tops.
will say there was a football player for the Dallas Cowboys named Ezekiel Elliott, and his first training camp or one of his early training camps, he did show up and he wore a crop top throughout all of practice.
That's
so
so
like his
iconic.
practice jersey, he just cut it so you could see his tummy. And it was funny because every sports commentator, they couldn't vocalize why, but they were just disgusted.
They were
Yeah.
disgusted.
They were like, what? These antics. What are we gonna? It's a distraction.
Yeah.
And it's like, it was just because they couldn't wrap their head around the male crop top.
Yeah, which is crazy. 'cause,
Well,
like,
they were
why
distracted.
not? Also, it's like men go freaking topless.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, why is
if
a man
anything, it's more
with
modest.
no shirt less distracting than a man with? Because it is. I feel like it is.
It
Like,
is.
No, it
people
is.
don't care if a man is shirtless,
But if a man is
if a
just
man
crop
is wearing
top?
a crop top,
They're mad. 'cause,
people
like,
are up in arms.
If I see your belly button, I gotta see your nipples too.
Yeah.
But then you could have a crop top with cutout nipples.
Yeah, so maybe that's what this summer is.
Yeah, okay.
This last summer was brat summer. This summer is male crop top with cutout nipples. That way no
Yeah.
one's uncomfortable.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as soon as we get the Young Old merch store up and running,
Oh, we're gonna be definitely selling male crop tops with cutout
nipples.
I can't wait.
And
So
everyone
stay
who buys
tuned.
one, we will
Well, it's
send to
kind of
prison.
like the Regina George shirt.
Yeah, it is.
You
Yeah.
just don't have a bra
exactly.
under. So
And also the Regina George shirt, I think, wasn't a crop top. It was
no,
it was
but just the nipple cut of it.
The
of it all.
Ezekiel Elliott crop top paired with the Regina George nipple cutout.
I mean, I really think we're on the forefront of something incredible.
We're definitely on the forefront of something. and I don't know
something.
what.
Yeah.
Incredible. disheartening.
There currently is a void in the marketplace for male crop tops with cutout nipples, but whether or not that void should be filled remains to be seen.
Some voids in the marketplace are there for a reason.
Yeah.
Like there's a
And
void in
some
the
could say that about us.
we're filling a void
Yeah.
that maybe people would prefer not be filled.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm filling a void in the marketplace. It's a nursing home where we light your grandpa on fire as soon as he comes in. There's a void.
Yeah.
The
Someone's
market
like,
doesn't have
but
that.
nursing
Someday
homes aren't supposed to
we're
light
gonna
my grandpa on
fill a
fire.
real void that does need filling, which is the cream soda.
That is, we are so sincere about
Marketplace.
that. There needs
Also,
to be
like,
in the
I
fountain a cream
tried
soda.
the Olipop one, and I did not like it.
Because it can't be. Isn't Olipop like a pseudo healthy version?
It's the same as Poppy. It's
With-
like all of those,
Yeah,
like
it's
where
like
it's
half
like
stevia.
That's not what you want. You want a real. The whole
also
thing about a
just, like,
cream
there's
soda
no
is it's
way
real.
around it. There's no way around it. Like you can't make. I mean, I guess unless you enjoy the like you kind of like the aspartame.
But that's a
lemonade.
different
But it's a
vibe.
different
That's
thing.
a different
But it's,
thing.
if you're,
If you wanna
having
make
an
it so, like,
indulgent
there's
cream
no-
soda beverage, there's no low calorie.
There's no way around it. You
route.
can't just like have a diet soda and it's the same.
We
Like,
need a
it's not
vanilla
the
cream
same.
soda. That's
Yeah.
It's
that's
a completely
standard.
different drink.
Also, so many. I'm sorry, but like so many of the fountain drinks, they do seem kind of redundant. I don't think we need like all of these.
Like what?
Fuck. Okay, here. Let me design my fountain. You
Okay.
need a lemonade option.
Yeah.
Something non-carbonated. You obviously need water. That's not included. You need a cola option. You need a Dr. Pepper.
Okay.
And I would almost say Dr. Pepper, cola, lemonade.
Okay.
Diet cola.
Yes.
So now we're at 4.
Yeah.
And then I think in that 5th spot, I would put a cream soda. And then some of them, I think that 5th spot is often a floater, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it is a floater.
And I would say in that
like sometimes
floater,
it's a 7-Up, sometimes it's a Mountain
Yeah, it's like a
Dew.
Sprite or
oh,
something.
a Sprite would go in that
Yeah.
5th spot. So then the 6th spot is the floater. And I would say the 6th spot should be a vanilla cream soda.
I agree.
And then some might say root beer,
Some
but
might say
I
root
almost
beer.
think Dr. Pepper and root beer fill a similar
But
taste
they have
niche.
they have a different taste.
Root
Like,
beer
root
tastes
beer
like
has a
toothpaste to me.
Root beer tastes like toothpaste.
Granted, I have not drinking root beer since I was probably in elementary school, but
Dude,
I
think
don't
you'd
like
love
root
it.
beer.
but I remember I thought it tasted like toothpaste.
I don't think root beer tastes like toothpaste. I enjoy root beer, but I'm saying that where root beer occupies in the hierarchy, we should maybe try a vanilla cream soda.
I've
in
always
there.
thought beer is a gross name for a drink. I think beer is gross. Like
That's
I've
the
always
fun
thought that.
though. As a kid, that was the fun thing. Is like you got to drink
it's
your
beer,
beer. Oh, I got
but
to drink
it's-
beer, and it was root beer.
But it's root beer.
I don't know, man.
I don't think the name
I'm not
is
a beer.
gross, but that's just me.
I'm just like the word beer.
I think the word jacuzzi
connotation
is gross.
Jacuzzi is
We've
gross.
always said that.
Yeah.
Jacuzzi. Well, it just like sounds like you're gonna get an infection.
what if the name of our vanilla cream soda is cream jacuzzi?
cream jacuzzi beer.
Cream jacuzzi beer.
Or like like when people have like not cup holders, but the things that go around cups
A
to hold
koozie.
them.
A
Yeah,
koozie.
people call them
Koozie.
and I'm like,
Oh.
ew, don't say that.
Yeah, call it something
Yeah.
normal like a cup mouth. Just
Well-
call it a cup mouth.
I have nothing to say to that.
I was
So
wondering.
No, there's another name for them.
Can you hand me my coffee?
What's the other name? What's the normal name?
I think they are called koozies.
No,
It's like
there's
a beer
another
koozie.
word,
It's
like
kind of
a-
warm because it's been sitting under
At
the lamp.
Starbucks, when you
Oh, it's
get
hot.
like the
Oh,
little
a sleeve.
cover, a
They just
sleeve,
call it a
yeah. Why not a
sleeve?
sleeve? A sleeve is
Yeah.
fine. Koozie should be illegal. Thank you.
Hulk Hogan, famous wrestler Hulk Hogan, he said that when he was on the road as a wrestler, there's a specific can of beer that he would always buy because his hand was bigger than the can, so it let him drink and drive.
Damn, that's pretty metal.
So he could just be on the road and his hand would completely cover the can. So if he was like drinking on the road and a cop saw him, it would just it would just look like he was just drinking out of his hand. Nothing weird there. Now that I'm saying it out loud, like they probably just didn't pull him over because A,
He's Hulk Hogan.
and B, it was like the 80s. So
Right.
did you even
So
get
everyone
DUIs
was
in
doing
the
that,
80s?
right?
No, I'm
They're like, it's beer. That's not drinking.
It does seem like, our culture was pretty lackadaisical about drinking and driving until the
People
90s,
started
2000s,
dying.
until people started dying.
Well, I saw a video where it was a video of Londoners interviewed after England instituted a new drinking and driving limit it in the 70s, and it was all just a bunch of like clearly British alcoholics who were like, I know how to drive when I have a pint or two. So what? I'm just stuck at the bar. They want me to stuck at the bar. Seems unhealthy to me. And it's like, just dude.
Well, to me, I'm like, if you can't not drink for the 20 minutes that you're in the car, like again, it's one thing to like be drunk and then drive. It's quite another thing to like you need to be drinking while you're driving.
Yeah. At the same time is crazy.
Well, Hulk Hogan, it was because they were on the road so much from wrestling gig to wrestling
He's
gigs.
like, when am I supposed to do it?
Right.
During the match?
Whoa.
But to me, I'm also just like,
that was a great Hulk Hogan.
I don't know who that. I don't even know who that is.
yeah, he was being sarcastic.
I was being sarcastic. I thought it was joking
The way
around.
I was like, oh my god, my secret talent.
Whoa.
I didn't even know. I didn't even know.
Hulk Hogan, he just talked like really deep. He was just like, oh brother, I'm gonna, eat your vitamins, brother, or I'll pin you.
Hulk Hogan, famously the destroyer of Gawker.
Did they name the Hulk after him, or did he name himself after the Hulk?
I think the word Hulk predated all IP.
It just meant
like
like
a big
muscle man.
strong man.
yeah,
And so I think Hulk was named because he was a big strong man, and then Hulk Hogan was also a big strong man.
Yeah.
But
Alright.
Hulk, I think, came after the Hulk.
Okay, this might be a boring question because it's a very like classic internet question. But if you had to have 5 liquids come out of your fingers, what would they be?
Oh.
Carbonated water. Because I love like a club soda with lime. I would really enjoy that.
Yeah.
Man, here's the deal.
But I'm like, can you cheat and be like liquid gold? And then it's like,
that's cheating.
okay, is that cheating?
that's
I think
not
it would
liquid.
have to be something that you could like literally like drink from your finger.
So you have to be able to consume it.
Yeah.
It can't be something
Also, I don't know if
unconsumable.
you'd want liquid gold because that'd be boiling molten hot.
Oh, does it?
Although-
does it affect how it like on your fingy?
Well, I don't know, but
How
I'm
it
like, I don't
feels?
want something that could potentially kill coming out of my fingers. Because what if you roll over in the middle of the night to pet Fighter and you accidentally
I mean,
encase
it's
him
kinda
in
King
liquid gold?
Midas.
Very
Yeah.
King Midas. And the lesson of King Midas was
he
it's
should
cool.
not have that power.
Or actually, it's a new King Midas where it's actually just cool as hell. He's got molten gold coming out of his fingies.
Yeah.
But I would assume you have control over it. But
I would
maybe
assume
it's like
so,
a
too.
superhero thing where it's like you have to learn to control it.
Well, I mean, if it doesn't have to be
don't know.
consumable, I think I would want one of them to be like Windex or cleaning solution, so that I could
I
quickly.
think it does have to be consumable, but it does have to be a natural liquid. So
okay,
it's
it
molten
can't be
gold.
something that like has to be heated to an extreme degree.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they talked about this on Just Trish, and she said nacho cheese, and I was like, does that count as a
I
liquid?
would count that
I
because
count that as a
in its
liquid.
form,
Is a liquid.
it's a specific.
Okay.
Also, a lot of times it's not real cheese. You know what I mean? It's like
so true.
I would go carbonated water. I would go soda. I was about to say milk, but having like a cow's milk come out of a human finger feels like an affront to God.
You asking Eve to smell your milk finger?
Yeah. You're like, does it milk fingers smell weird?
Dude, also, I'm like, what if Dana has like, Diet Coke and then her cleaning solution? I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, give me a sip of DC, and then
And then she
accidentally
accidentally
it's the
gives
cleaning
you,
solution.
yeah.
Oops.
Whoop.
Whoop.
Here's the- does
You
it have
could
to
get
be?
tattoos on each finger.
Yeah.
You would have
You'd
to.
have to.
So you can remember.
That's such like a dystopian future thing where it's like everyone has liquid, but also everyone has their tats on their fingers, so you know which liquid.
Okay.
You go up to someone in a bar and they're like, "Hey, I see you got root beer."
Oh yeah.
Or it's like
you can trade liquids with others.
in the same way that people do the Jeep nod. There's like this whatever. How do you call it? Societal custom that if you have a Jeep and another person has a Jeep, a lot of times you'll notice they'll like nod at you.
Oh,
you, like,
T.
hear about
Yeah.
Jeep
The
drivers.
Jeep squad.
The Jeep squad. But what if it's like you're a root beer
You
middle
both
finger
have
kind of person?
You
and
both
you're
have root beer middle finger.
like, sorry to flip off the young oldenators.
We're just showing our root beer middle finger.
Oh, root beer
we're
middle
just
finger.
showing
It's
off.
not an affront.
No, it's not an affront at all. Anyway, what
Dude,
are the
imagine
rest
someone
yours?
gives you the finger and then also they shoot a root beer fountain out of the finger.
Yeah,
they give
I
it
mean that's
Wow.
epic. Okay, what are the rest?
Is it a different liquid out of each finger?
Yeah,
I gotta
that's
be
the
honest,
whole thing.
I'd have to come up with 10 different liquids.
No,
just
just
five.
five. Just
Oh,
five.
just 5, and it's the same on each hand.
Or
do
it's
I have my
like
hand?
Or maybe just
you
one
have
hand.
you have your soda fountain hand.
My soda
basically. Your
fountain
fountain
hand.
hand. Go ahead.
Okay,
you had
I would go
club
Dr.
soda.
Pepper, club soda, maybe a vanilla cream soda. It seems like natural. I guess I would do, I'm sorry, but I would do regular clean drinking water.
Yeah.
You'd have to have that. And then maybe some sort of fruit juice, like an orange juice or something.
Because
I
he
like
loves
that.
fruit.
Because I love
he loves
He
fruit.
loves
Probably
fruit.
more than
He eats
anyone else in the
the
room.
most fruit.
I would probably do that 5, but I'd only be passionate about a few.
Okay, I would do water,
Dana's like,
coffee.
I need to think about my finger liquids.
I have them ready to go.
Okay, no, but
Bitch.
but you know.
Water, coffee, Diet Coke,
Coffee's good.
Chick-fil-A Diet Lemonade.
I would add coffee to mine.
Okay, you're a
Sorry.
copycat.
Okay.
I am.
Well, then what are you taking out?
And then cleaning solution so that I could clean at a moment's notice.
because she's always cleaning.
Well, also because Biter's peeing everywhere.
Dr. Pepper.
She puked in the hall.
Oh God! Right before this.
Yeah, but I didn't clean it up because I was worried I'd be late.
So there's just
there's
puke
just puke?
uncleaned out there.
Yeah.
And look at him.
Oh my God!
Look at him right there.
You know what's crazy is if this
Also,
podcast
if we had a
pro-
Reddit, people
Yeah.
would tear us apart for that. They'd be like, "They left the dogs puke in the hall."
Dude, I really hope we have Reddit soon where
Well,
people just
I
tear
can
us to
start one
shreds.
and just like talk shit about us.
No,
I mean,
because you would.
I have like
I can
you
be
guys
like, I can't believe they left their dogs puke in the. And it's like a photo of the hallway. They're like, "How'd you get
have
that
you heard
photo?"
the theory? Have you heard the theory that
Yeah.
like you know how Hallie and Jazz are?
Yeah.
Have you heard the theory that they were the ones who started their
I
own snark?
always think that because there's so many people on there who are so irrelevant and people are constantly posting about them and I'm like, these people are so irrelevant.
But people were
Why
talking
are
about
you
how
posting
Hallie and
about
Jazz like
them?
really started blowing up when their
'Cause they-
snark
they
started
are
blowing up.
always
And also Hallie
on
just
there.
like Hallie is the kind of like
Who would
smart, like
snark on
funny
herself.
person who would like absolutely
And
utilize
they're
that.
always on there. Like they're never not posting
Yeah.
about Hallie. And it's
Yeah.
like, I'm like, is she even that big? Like, why are you all
well,
so obsessed
to
with
me,
her?
she's like actively not that hateable. Like
Yeah.
I genuinely really like both of them, and so I'm like the fact that there is such like
Which ones are these?
She got
they
punched in the
have-
face
The girl got
in New
punched in the
York.
Do anything
subway.
for me.
You don't remember the girl got punched in the face in New York?
I don't remember this. No.
Whatever. She's just this blonde girl, and then she has her friend Jazz, and they have this podcast called Hot Mess.
Okay.
Like they're just influencers.
I hear what you're saying. What if I start? Because I mostly get this influencer named Shay Spence, who I watch because he just goes to theme parks and reviews food.
Yeah.
What if I just randomly start a snark
Snark
of
pages.
him?
It's
Because all he's got is like, here's the best 5 desserts I had at Disney World. And what if I just like make a snark? I was like, his dessert taste is shit. He doesn't even know which desserts at Disney World are good.
Dude, do male influencers get snarked on?
No, that's like famously
Yeah.
that is something people always point out is that rarely are male influencers.
I mean, I will say that is
snarked
the pro and con of misogyny is like yes, men
for
don't
women
get
by
hate.
women.
It's for women by women.
because also men aren't reading it either.
But I also am just like
So-
men also aren't ever gonna like be the root of your fandom that blows you up. Like if you want to have like a fandom, if you want to be famous, you actually need women who hate you in
Yeah.
order to propel that.
right.
As
Like,
a woman.
As a woman.
I will say
Yeah.
there
There
are
are
plenty
lots
of
of famous
men where it's
men,
like,
right.
I don't think there's a Shane Gillis snark.
No,
I guess the Shane
but there
Gillis
was-
snark
there
would
was
just be
Shane
like
Gillis.
the
He
New
lost
York
his
Times.
job.
I
Or
guess
just, like,
the
people
snark
tweeting
is
about
the
him, I guess.
mainstream media.
It's just CNN
right.
and the New Yorker.
Yeah, but that's also what we're talking about, where men get like when men are disliked, they get the dignity and reverence of the mainstream media writing like think pieces about how they're bad, whereas
Yeah.
like all women get is like other women in a subreddit saying nasty shit.
I mean,
I don't
it's an
know.
interesting hypothesis. I currently don't have the data to back it up.
But anyway, back to the Hallie and Jazz thing. I'm like, it does seem like they really blew up when their snark became really active, and I'm like, and I would not. Maybe they started their own snark.
Look, really smart
Anyway,
of them.
Really smart.
If true.
Well,
Eve
I
starts
always-
a young old snark,
Yeah.
and then I'm just
No,
getting
see,
coffee
yeah,
in the
that's
kitchen,
how I'll
and,
blow us
and
up.
she walks in. She's like, "They're tearing you apart on the snark." I'm like, "What? They're saying terrible things about you on the snark."
it's all you.
So wait, so what's your fountain 5?
Oh,
Your finger fountain 5.
well, definitely have to be piss. Let's be one so I can get away with the water gun piss crime.
Okay, we
You
haven't
haven't
talked about the
described
water
that.
gun piss crime on here.
I thought that was a good segue.
If I can give
Okay.
a note, it's that sometimes
Robert
I
was
thought it
always
was a good
complaining.
segue.
Robert's always complaining about your lack of context.
because you dive straight
figure
in.
it out, man.
Well, how are they going to figure out piss gun? What's to figure that out?
self-explanatory.
How would someone who doesn't know piss gun just go from piss gun and
I thought it was a good segue so you guys could be like, oh, what's piss gun?
But why don't you end with piss gun to the segue? Because now we are like, well, what's your other fountain for?
or what's your other fountain for?
Fucking no.
So did you
brought this up.
did you just bring this up so you could say you'd have piss come out of one finger?
I
so
thought
that
of
we
it
could talk
after
about.
I asked it because I saw the water gun on the wall and it reminded me.
Do you
So,
want?
okay, let's pause right now. Young Mominators, what do you think piss gun
Yeah.
is?
Take a second at home and
What
come
else
up,
would it
come up with a theory.
with piss?
Okay, come up with a theory as to what you think piss gun is. at
It's
home.
so obvious.
Well, it's obvious, like, okay, piss gun, a gun with piss, but like,
Right.
that, you understand that actually communicates nothing.
Right. Okay, like
Explain piss gun.
Explain piss gun.
What is piss
Okay,
gun?
so basically,
wow, it's so obvious.
okay,
How
so
did it start?
Eve posed the question: would it be
Dana has a little water gun in
would
the
it be
room.
illegal to go and just spray someone with a piss
Well,
water
no, it
gun in
wasn't
public?
necessarily would it be illegal, but I was like, how would they prove it?
No, would it be illegal?
Would it be legal?
And then I
so
said
first I
it
Googled
would be
this on my
illegal.
phone, and then I immediately regret it because now I'm like on my phone on Google. Is it illegal to spray a stranger with piss? And the answer is kind of unclear, honestly, because Eve does raise a good point in that it is hard. It would be difficult to prosecute.
Well, as I said, they would test the piss so they'd know it's your piss.
But I said I would get anonymous piss, okay? Because like sometimes I even saw this at a Trader Joe's parking lot the other day, and I was like, wow, this would be a great opportunity. But
spray someone with a piss gun?
No, I saw a water bottle full of piss in the Trader Joe's parking lot.
Okay.
Like they're out and about.
I feel like, is there a better way for us to like explain this? Like,
all right, let's go
Robert,
bullet
why
points.
don't you? Yeah.
Eve said, would it be illegal to spray someone with piss? Where is the line between like, because it's not illegal necessarily to spray someone with a water gun.
No.
But we know it is illegal, obviously, to shoot someone with a real gun.
Yeah.
Piss seemed to be a middle ground. Is it illegal to shoot someone with piss? And I said, yes, it is. And then she said, but how would they prove it?
Yeah.
If I shot you with piss right now, if I shot someone with piss, how would they even prove I did something?
Also,
and I said,
we talked about this for
an
like
hour.
2 hours.
A 2-hour conversation that now you're just going to go, oh, by the way, piss gun. Anyway, and like, no.
I thought it was a segue.
And I said they test the piss, and you said, what do you mean? Like they'd save the clothes you shot the piss
Right, because I
at?
was thinking the person would be so disgusted that they would immediately just like throw their clothes away. Who's like, I'm gonna save this for the police?
Well, if they call the police, they'd save for the police. They'd be able to test the piss, see that it came from you. Then you said, okay,
I'll get anonymous
I'll
piss.
get piss that doesn't belong to me. So she said, I'll just walk the streets of our neighborhood because sometimes you'll see water bottles full of piss that maybe someone's gardener left. And I said, okay.
My first theory was going to a dog park and
Collecting dog piss.
collecting
piss.
dog
Which,
pee.
Which, as I said, no one's gonna let you do that. You run up to imagine your dog is
I
peeing,
said
and then
I would
Eve
just-
scurries out of the bushes with like a gallon jug and starts collecting your dog's piss. No one's gonna let you do that.
Anyways,
No.
but we nixed that. And then I said I would go to an out-of-town park.
And then I said
Because you said that people would report me.
they'd report you, and you'd go, well, I'd go to a faraway dog park and collect that piss. And this is all to spray anyone. with
Right.
piss.
Well, no, but then it became you and me. Then it became I would get away with spraying you with
piss.
So then, okay, let's say I have the anonymous piss, right? And
Yeah.
then I spray him, and then I immediately spray myself, and then I like.
And then Eve said, then I would call the cops
and
and I
then
would
I try to
report
frame
you.
And then I frame him for being the real piss sprayer.
I mean, all of this is just like it just raises a lot of questions where it's like, yeah, like okay, like say you spray me with a piss gun, I call the police. What do the police say? Like, what do the police say? Like,
I feel like in LA, like they don't give a fuck, which is why I said we have to do this in a small town where they will investigate.
I reject that notion that if you run into a small town and spray someone with dog piss, that would somehow, like the whole town would stop. Also in LA, like if you sprayed me with piss and then shot yourself with the piss and called the police, I would press charges. I would say she shot me with piss and
But
shot
then
herself.
I was like, who would believe you? Who would? Because like it's crazy to frame someone else for that.
I do think
But that's exactly what you would be doing.
Yeah, but they
talking
wouldn't
about
know that.
But the whole thing's crazy.
But then how it would go? It would be like Gone Girl. But I'd be like, I would like shoot him with the piss, and then immediately I'd be like, smile, turn the gun on myself, and then I'm like, hello, hello, this man shot me with.
don't crimes need like motive?
yeah.
Like, so then what would the motive be? Like, they'd have to prove that there was.
Crazy.
Well,
He has fruit
I'm just, like-
delusions of grandeur. This isn't that far of a jump.
To me, this is something that we need Nathan Fielder to explore
Also,
on the rehearsal.
the other day, Dana and I were driving. We were at a stoplight, and we saw a woman walking her dog in Beverly Hills, and the dog stopped and started peeing on the sidewalk. And as the dog was peeing, I was like, this is where in Eve's scenario, she would sprint up and start collecting its pee. This is where an Eve scenario. I would just say then you report that to police. I would say no, she sprayed me, then shot herself and,
and then
called the
they would
police.
be like,
What the police
they'd be like,
actually do.
that's crazy. You clearly did this.
Why would they? Because see, that's where you
To
lose
me,
me.
the police are hanging up on us. Like,
See, that's what I'm saying. We have to go to a
No,
small
they're not.
town because LA they don't care.
The police are not hanging up on us. I think the police, if anything, would be curious.
I don't know. If I called the police right now and I said, hey, a stranger just came up and shot me with a water gun full of piss piss in public, they would be like, I'm sorry that happened to you, ma'am.
No,
but,
in LA, they do not give a fuck.
I don't think they would do anything.
Is piss considered like hazardous material?
Well, it's considered.
Yes,
it can be considered
a
like assault with a
crime.
bodily fluid or something. I looked it up.
Damn, that's kind of.
Like, it definitely is illegal. I'm just saying, like, I could
How would you
easily
prove it?
frame you.
But again, it's like a lot of things are illegal, but they're not like prosecutable, really. Like, it's hard. That's a hard case
Well, then Eve,
to
I
get
think, might have brought up how many times do you have to spray someone with piss before it becomes a felony?
Right. So we were basically saying it's like almost like this is the kind of crime where if it weren't like a serial pattern, you might be able to get a freebie.
That's when I said. That's when I said you get one. I was like. So then eventually we came to the conclusion. It's like you can't go around doing this all the time because it's like then there's a pattern, right?
Yeah.
Right. Then it's like you can't frame a ton of people for spraying you for piss because like you're the common denominator, right?
Yeah.
Why is this woman always getting sprayed with piss? It's really suspicious.
But you get one.
You do get one. But also, even in this, you have to spray yourself. So for this to even kind of work, you have to spray yourself.
Right. And it's like,
wait, I have an idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even spray myself, but I have a shirt that I sprayed with piss in a bag. I call the guys. I go, he sprayed me with piss. Here's the shirt I was wearing.
I think you
At the
could honestly,
time.
you might get arrested for like filing a false police report, which is a
But
real
it's
crime.
not false.
It is false.
If they believe it.
No, even if they believe the lie, that doesn't
That's
mean
false.
it's not a lie.
That's That's filing a false police report.
Eve?
And then if you went to court over this, you'd get in trouble too for like lying under oath if they could prove
But that's
you
only if
lied.
they could. That's the key. If they
Dude,
could prove it.
You better hope I don't catch you at any stage of this plan before. Because imagine like I like somehow find your bag with a piss shirt in it. And I just know. Or imagine I get word that at a faraway dog park, you're wanted for stealing dog piss. Which, you made it sound like it'd be so easy to steal dog piss. There's no way.
You just put like a container down.
But it's
It'll
not
get
your
filled.
dog.
Like the owners
It'll
are
get-
watching their
the
dog
owners
the
are
whole
watching.
time.
Also, the owners aren't going to let their
The
dog just fill a
owners-
saucer full of piss.
Owners at dog
Okay, but
parks
I
are gonna be like, "Why are you collecting my dog's pee?"
I eventually went back on the dog park idea.
And you just said you were gonna do gardener pee. Actually, can we talk about that? How like in neighborhoods, like no one lets gardeners or help use their bathrooms, and so all of these people are just pissing in water bottles
like I said,
and
I saw
leaving
one
them
at
around
Trader
the neighborhoods.
Joe's. In the
Like,
Well, it's
I
a common
just-
thing around.
I know, it's just so crazy.
Well, I think it actually goes back to our point, which is just there's no public restrooms anywhere.
Yeah.
That's on
the
God.
real main
That's
thing.
on God.
Real quick, one more thing on piss
Yeah.
gun. So before we explain piss gun, we asked you young oldenators to
Yeah.
think what you to imagine what you think piss
Right.
gun will mean.
I
How
think-
close were we?
Yeah.
Were you close?
I think they got it. I think
Did
they
you, were you
understood.
dead on?
I think
Also,
they
like
understood.
young oldenators, do you think that the police would do something if you were assaulted by a piss gun?
How many piss gun
Like-
framings until it's clear you're framing?
Here's my real truth is it's like there are a lot of things that are illegal that it doesn't seem like the police do anything about, such as, not to be rude, like sexual assault.
Right.
It doesn't seem like
And
the
this
police
is
are.
this is
and
assault.
this is like I
But
would say
is this
lesser
assault?
than that.
Is
Well,
this
yeah, it is assault. It
It's
is
technically
assault.
assault.
It technically is assault?
It
It is
technically is
assault.
assault. But I don't know. Like that's the real question is I'm not really sure.
But young oldenators just know you get one.
and we
Don't use it on us, please.
don't use it on us.
Don't
Don't
do
use it
that.
on all of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
We all get got
But
by
anyways,
a different
back
young
to the
oldenator.
finger liquids. I could have, but then it's like, can they? Is my pee coming out of my finger liquid my
pee?
DNA, or is it anonymous pee?
Why would you want it to be anonymous pee? You
So I
freak.
can use it for
her
my
piss gun.
crimes.
No, I think that's an interesting question because when like the root beer comes out of your finger,
Yeah, it's
clearly
not like
your
your
DNA is not in the root
it's not
beer.
your body's root
So
beer.
does the pee is anonymous?
I guess the pee is anonymous.
Yeah, I guess you could.
So I
have
could use my anonymous
pee.
pee.
Because the idea isn't that your body is producing these liquids.
No,
the
it's just that
idea
you
is
have
your
them on
body is
tap.
magically a
Yeah.
portal for these
Yeah,
liquids.
so I have anonymous pee.
I don't think you can get anonymous pee.
Yes, I can.
No.
With the magic finger liquids.
Okay.
One of them is anonymous pee.
If you want to waste one of them on anonymous pee, that's okay. I guess.
Eve's always
You
walking.
think that's a waste?
Well, it is a waste because, like you
Gotta be a
said,
waste.
even in our scenario where you're doing piss gun, which also like, why are you doing that?
Why are you doing that?
You still only get one. So what happens after you use your one? Okay, you use your anonymous pee for the gun. Now what? You just have a finger that shoots out anonymous piss. What do you do with that?
What would happen there?
And how would that be useful to you?
I'm sure I could find a use.
You're always like offering me glasses of lemonade on a hot day. I'm like, it's pee.
It's your piss gun.
It's your piss gun.
So I think that it would be a waste. But if you want to waste one of your fingers on that, go for it. What are your other 4?
You brought this up, by the way.
What if all 5 were anonymous?
Yeah, what if?
I mean,
By the way, when you mention young alternators doing that to us, here's the thing. You only get one to do it.
Yeah.
But it can happen to you a limitless amount of
yeah,
times.
like different young ordinators can all choose us
As their target for piss
their
gun.
one.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
But then earlier we said that if I was constantly being sprayed with piss and calling the cops and saying that I'm constantly, that they would be like.
But a key variable there, Eve, is that in all those scenarios, you were shooting yourself with piss. If other people are shooting you with piss,
But what? How
For
do you?
real.
I'm just like I'm always caught up on like how do you prove these things?
it would be proven. And if you
And you're so
if
set
you
on like
piss,
it would be
if you
proven, but it's
piss
like.
gun me, I'm gonna prove it.
Robert is
And
going
I just don't
to
believe. I'm like
compile
no.
his
I'm like
case.
who's gonna believe
I'm gonna be
you?
I'm gonna be a detective that gets too close to the case. I'm gonna have those walls with like wires and yarn, and it's just
I'm
gonna
just
be
like,
pictures
there's
of
no-
dog parks and gardener pee.
There's no way that the case would come out with you on top.
Here's my thing. If you're
That's on
relying
God.
if you're relying on the LAPD to solve this, they won't. And I think that's true.
You've too much faith in the justice system.
I don't
Yeah.
think that me saying if you try to frame me for shooting you with piss, I would exonerate myself. I don't think that's me displaying a love for the LAPD. I just reject that. I reject that.
I just think you're so confident that you're gonna get off.
I think
and
you
it's
would
like,
have to
no.
do all the legwork of your case. And I think that you'd have a hard time getting the LAPD
To
to like
believe
file
that
charges
this
with
lady-
the DA. No, I think that they wouldn't want to file charges with the like county court or whatever.
Well, I could do
At the
civil.
same time, though, like I'm.
No, you could definitely do
I'm
civil.
accusing
you.
you.
I think that
Like,
if you were
we're
trying
accusing
to
each
sue someone in
other.
civil court for they shot me with the piss gun, you'd have a way better case. This is the kind of thing I
But
could
I'm,
definitely
at the
think-
same
I definitely
time,
think
though,
we take
I'm
this on
saying
Judge
you
Judy.
did it.
Oh my God, what if we do this on Judge
Yeah,
Judy?
you're saying I did it, but
Yeah.
in this
And I'm
scenario,
just
I
like,
think it's so
who's
crucial.
gonna-
I didn't do it. Though.
Okay, but it doesn't matter
you
what
and-
the truth is.
You and I know the truth.
It doesn't
though.
matter
It
what the
does,
truth
though.
is. It
does
matters how it
matter.
ends up in court.
No, but the truth.
Like I could be like OJ and write like if I did the piss gun. Like do you know what I mean? Like and everybody knows that I did it. But like
you can't
I'm
prove
still,
it.
But I'm
Yeah.
still
Here's the
out here
deal.
living free.
Here's the deal. You would write it if I did the piss gun. Imagine, dude. And it would be all Eve's music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like and everybody
I would link
thinks
the
of
pee
me.
back to you. I swear to God, I
No,
would.
it's anonymous.
No, we'd find it. So we'd do a DNA test, and we would link it back to either a dog or a
Or a
specific
gardener, and we'd prove that that
And we-
gardener
What
worked
about my
in our-
anonymous pee from my hands?
Okay, but then we'd be able to test the pee coming from your hands, and we'd match it.
Yeah.
But it's anonymous.
No, we'd be
but
able to
it
compare
matches
it to the
itself.
sample. Yeah.
It matches
It
itself.
would match itself.
So I'd be able to say, give us a
What?
sample.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Listen.
Also, yeah.
I do the crime and then I cut off my fingers
Okay.
or my finger.
Then guess what, Eve?
You'd be like,
then
why,
you got me.
Why is she missing a finger?
If you did the crime,
But I could just say like I don't know. I slammed it in a car door. Like
okay, then I'd let you. Spray with pee. If because in my
If you were like,
head,
lose a finger
got
for
off.
this,
You
yeah.
didn't win that. You just chopped your own finger off, and I'm like, all right, okay then.
yeah, for what?
And you're like, can't sue me.
so
You're
Robert's
holding
in
a-
jail for spraying me. With
No, I'm not in jail.
Yes,
Why is it that like the LAPD won't investigate if I point out the truth, but yet I'm going to jail?
framing you. I'm framing you for
But
shooting me.
my point is, no one would care. No one cares no one cares who sprayed you with the piss gun. They don't care about this crime. Like they wouldn't care if you framed Robert. Like,
But
they
you would
wouldn't
be framing me.
No,
I'd care.
Yeah, but they wouldn't think it was framing. They would
they
think that
wouldn't-
you shot me
they-
with
No,
piss.
No, they wouldn't.
Yes,
They
they
would think
would.
this is a weird scenario. Let's get to the bottom of it.
Yes,
One
they would.
follow-up
They
question would
wouldn't.
yield
They
you
think
being the
they
piss
think
gun
this
shooter.
I
man
don't
is
think they would get to the
crazy.
bottom of it. I think they wouldn't even. They would would literally listen to both of you on the phone and hang up.
Who would they think is crazy? Me or the woman holding a bloody hand towel to her stump where her pee finger used to be?
What if I'm like, he shot me with piss and cut off my finger?
I'd be like, no, I didn't.
Yeah, and they'd be like,
figure it
you're
out.
lying.
Why would they be like that?
And then you'd be in jail.
Why would
and
they put me in jail?
Have you heard of
if I did the piss gun?
innocent until proven guilty? They would need to prove that Robert did those things.
Okay,
Like,
what if I stole your pee?
My pee? Okay. All right. What if you stole my pee?
They still.
So then they match the pee back to you.
Oh,
But you would never be able to steal my pee.
I would put in a fake toilet.
You would, okay. The girl who says it would cost $1 million to get me to go to the post office is installing a fake toilet to steal my pee to frame me for shooting her with a piss gun and then chopping off her piss finger? What?
Also, if you have his pee, why do you need a piss finger?
No, I guess I don't. Because apparently it could be matched back to me or whatever.
Well, it can't obviously be matched back. We'd be able to tell if you spray one part of your piss finger, the piss would. It's not like ever changing piss.
I think the real problem here is that, like, I don't believe anyone would go to jail for shooting someone with a piss gun one time. Like, I don't think that they
that's
would.
why you get one.
That's why you
It
get
always
one.
comes back to
I
you
just
get
can't
one.
see. Also, I'm like, I know right now if you go to any prison and you ask everyone, hey, what are you in here for?
No
Not
one's
one of
for
them is
piss
going to
gun.
say for shooting someone with a piss gun.
What if like 50% of people who are incarcerated are in for piss gun crimes?
What if fake number?
I'm still gonna write if I did the piss gun.
I think you're writing it now. This is draft 1, basically.
Yeah, you're doing if I did it. How did I do it?
How did I do it? Also, Eve, like, I'll go to a faraway dog
soon.
park. I'd be like, they'd use traffic cam footage. We would triangulate you and put you in the
Not
position of
gonna
the
put
dog park.
LAPD resources toward Google getting the traffic cams
I agree.
to find
But
out
also
who the
that's
pee
why
is
like I was
from.
working through like I was workshopping. Like that was my first idea and obviously there was errors. And so you poked holes in that and then I
now
had
we
to
have your
come up with
final
new
idea,
things.
which
Which is
spraying with a magic piss finger, then chopping off your finger.
yeah,
and there's
or
no errors
or
there.
the fake toilet and I steal your pee.
You're not going to be able to steal my pee.
The whole thing is like, why? Why any of this?
Why would it?
Why? Like,
Why also then, you're now at this point, you're shooting us both with my pee. Like, in what way do you come out on top? Like, in what way is that a win for Eve? We're both sitting there sprayed with my pee.
and
I'm confused.
let
I'm
me
also
just be
scared
like,
of you.
Yeah. Also, let me just say, like, again, Eve, you called the LAPD. This guy just shot himself and then shot me with his piss. The LAPD is literally going like, we don't care, and they're hanging up.
Also, even that, here's
Like-
what I also believe. Eve would be giggling to herself as she did it, and that would be the number one sign of
Right?
guilt.
She'd be like laughing.
You would
so
not keep
hard.
a straight face and be like, officers, I'm so confused. My sister's fiance he sprayed me with pee and then he sprayed himself with pee. You wouldn't be able to do that. You're laughing now.
Here, do it. Make the call. Here, I'm gonna be the LAPD. Here, let's make the call. Okay, ready? Let's make the call.
Let's call them for real. Why not?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go
Okay, I'm
for
calling.
real.
Okay, I'm calling them. Okay, ready? Are you ready?
Yeah.
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 Also, come on. I'm in the background going, no, nuh-uh, no, no.
Let's see it. Hello, this is 911. How can I help you?
Hi, my sister's fiance just shot me with pee.
Ma'am, false 911 calls are a punishable
Wait,
offense.
they would be like, wait, how many times? Because you get one. You get one. He gets one.
One.
If you here's a
Okay, so then I'm better off not framing you and just spraying you. And what? And you're gonna. And, and so
he would be mad at you.
I would be unhappy
That's
with
what
you,
happens.
which would
if
be
you
a consequence.
sprayed him with a piss gun full of his own piss, he would be mad.
Okay, what if?
Also, isn't
what
stealing
if?
someone's
What if?
piss a crime in and of itself? You stole my property. Is my piss still
okay,
my
I have a
property
new
after it
idea.
leaves my
Good
body?
question.
I have a
know.
new idea.
Yeah?
You guys are out, like, in a public setting.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am also there in the crowd, but you don't know.
Okay.
And I like snipe piss you.
How would you snipe piss? First
like
off,
from
in
above.
order to get enough velocity on the piss to snipe, it would have to be like deadly force.
No, it would just be like.
How would you
know.
long distance
And
snipe
I'm
with
in
piss?
like a ski mask and stuff. Like,
Yeah,
you
but like
can't.
you'd hit other
Also,
people.
we'd
No.
recognize you the way we'd recognize you. You've never been
I'd hire
stealthy in
a
your
hit
life.
piss man.
Then this is a crime for sure. If there's this many steps, it's got to be legal somewhere. I don't know what the crime is, but there's got to be. There's got to be like money laundering. There's got to be some weird, vague crime
Also,
that
yeah,
get you
who
on.
are you hiring to do this?
I know a guy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What guy? Biter? Well, Biter has peed on all of us, basically.
Yeah, that's tea. And
All
he
right.
gets away.
All right.
He gets
All
more
right,
than
here's
that.
the real question.
All right.
Here's the real question.
How long have we been on this?
Oh, only like a couple hours. Here's the real question. If we accept the premise that you get one,
Okay.
who would you use your one on?
Oh, that's a good question. I like we're all thinking thoughtfully.
And we're not going to cut this out. This is this long silence of thought.
I don't think I would do this to anyone. If I'm being completely honest, I think it's so rude.
Shmave Schmort Moy.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's
I
your
don't know.
one.
Well, it's just because like he never had
Oh.
any comeuppance.
We have to bleep this.
Yeah.
But it would be.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
It would be-
It's just like for people who have never had any comeuppance, and it's like
Right.
they don't deserve like to die or anything.
Yeah.
But like you don't.
You
So
deserve
just like
deserve
them.
public
humiliation.
figures who have been like a little bit evil, and the public doesn't seem to get how evil that they are, but we all see how evil they are.
Yeah.
My pick is a great pick,
Yeah,
actually.
yours is a great pick.
And also,
Also, if you did it like at like a public thing, then his true colors would be shown because he would freak out.
Right,
He would freak out.
definitely. I think that also both of those people
They would
would
be
be
exposed.
unmasked by piss gun. They would. I think it would be
I
a
think they'd
good
be
way to
unmasked by
kind
piss
of
gun.
really disarm them
I
and
think-
make
I
them
think
show their
mine
true
would
colors.
really be unmasked.
Yours would be
That
really
being
good.
said, mine might also then parlay it into another TikTok. I was like,
Yeah.
So I was at my concert and someone just sprayed me with piss. All right. Okay, this is crazy. I'm at my concert and someone sprayed me with piss. So we're gonna go out and we're gonna see who's got the piss gun. And it would go so viral. And all the comments were like, we made the right person famous.
Right.
Whenever the comments are like, we made the right person famous, I'm like, you didn't make them famous. They made themselves famous through a level
And
of
you
Manipulation
manipulation
that
And you fell for it.
Yeah.
You're a puppet on a string.
You're a puppet on a string.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. You didn't make them famous. They manipulated the frick out of you.
Let me check my other topic.
I have one topic, and so this was a conversation Dana and I had, where Dana, whenever we talk about our future, she's like, I want to get a house with a piece of flat land where I can install an in-ground
Yes.
trampoline. And I'm like, dude,
You're gonna die, bro.
You're never
Why
getting a
does
trampoline.
everyone
They're
say
so
that?
dangerous.
They're not that
They're so
dangerous. There's so many
Oh, yeah,
things
and
that
then
are more
Dana said
dangerous
that she's
than an
gonna
in-ground
hire
trampoline.
somebody to
I'm gonna hire a
convince-
trampoline advocate to advocate for me to have a trampoline.
But I
and
was
they're gonna
like-
explain to Robert why it's actually safe and good for me to have a trampoline. Also, my whole thing is obviously it's safe for me to have a trampoline because if I don't get a trampoline, I will myself.
No,
and
you
that is
won't.
the
That's
most dangerous
crazy.
I
thing.
don't
of all.
agree with you.
That's crazy that it's either trampoline or death.
I don't believe you.
A trampoline is absolutely crucial for my mental
I
health.
think the very
I think
fact
that's
that you
true.
just made that threat shows me you're not mature enough for a trampoline.
But to me, I'm like, so you're just saying like you want me to be forever this unhappy person with no trampoline?
I don't believe you would be unhappy without a trampoline. I also know you would be so dangerous on a trampoline
No,
because you
I'd
would
be really safe.
You don't have body control. You're always flailing about. You don't have any.
Flailing about.
You don't.
Not the flailing about.
Yeah, she's flailing about.
Like,
She has
I'm
no body
over-
control. She would always be filming content while jumping on the trampoline.
Oh, that's actually
That's
tea.
true. She
That's
would try.
tea,
She would
and then
try to
you
do
would hurt
tricks while filming
yourself.
herself, which means she wouldn't be paying attention.
Here's
Am
my
I
thing.
wrong?
No, I
Like,
think
it sounds
that
like a really fun idea in theory. I could just see it going horribly wrong.
You also think you have the exact same athleticism and gymnast ability as you did when you were like a tumbler in pre-K, which you don't because you're a grown woman. So no, I don't think a trampoline. I don't think there's any combination of factors that would be in favor of you getting an in-ground trampoline.
What if it
I
was
said
like?
you can get a bounce house. Those
But
are
I
safe.
don't want a bounce house. That's not the same
But you
thing.
can still
And
jump.
you can't like do the same kind of tricks in a bounce house.
But that's good. You need your
But
tricks
that's
need to be
good.
limited.
I don't want my tricks to be like. I want the freedom to like.
Well, if you're gonna kill yourself without it, then I guess sure. Those are the only two options.
I just really want one, and I think I could be safe.
You couldn't. I know you couldn't. It's the way like we have scented
Like, okay,
candles in
there
our
is-
bedroom, and I just had to make a rule.
Oh, yeah.
We had to make a rule that Dana
I'm not
could
allowed to
never
light
light
the
the scented
candle
candles. You wanna know
because
why?
I always leave them
she
on.
kept leaving them on.
Yeah.
For many, many, many times.
Yeah.
To the point where it's just like, look, the reality is you're gonna burn the house down. You can't be trusted with scented candles. And I know that's crazy to say, and that almost sounds like I'm being like a controlling like
Right.
abuser who's like doesn't trust his fiancé.
Yeah.
to
And you
scented
sprayed
candles.
me with piss.
But there were what?
what?
I didn't. I didn't.
Also, it's like I don't even need you to be arrested if I can just get the public to believe.
So you want to try him in the court of public opinion for the piss gun,
I'm gonna have to get like an army of bots
dude?
to every Hashtag free Robert. Hashtag
free
Robert no piss.
Okay, anyways, back to the trampoline. But also, I think it's funny that you're hiring an advocate versus like a coach. Like, wouldn't it be better to have somebody like
Because
hire a
she fundamentally
supervisor?
believes that she is safe and she needs no coaching. To hire a coach would be to admit to herself that she is not as competent when it comes to trampoline use as she thinks she is.
I think it would be fun to have a coach, though. Like, even if I didn't think I needed one,
She doesn't need a coach. She needs a supervisor. She needs a chaperone. She needs a lifeguard.
So I'm like, if you're gonna hire somebody, like, why waste it on hiring somebody to just
So you think I
talk
should
to
have
Robert?
like a trampoline guard?
Yeah, just have somebody who's like
full-time
watching.
lifeguard. I guess that's closer than advocate. But then I'm
Like a trampoline
but then
monitor.
now
Like,
we're
and when they
doing-
see you trying ambitious tricks, they
They
go,
say
no, jumping only.
Yeah, and they like take my phone from me.
Right, or they're like, no recording
No
while on the
recording.
trampoline.
yeah.
All right, we're
what
getting
if we had
close.
a no phone rule on the trampoline?
But it would have to be lifeguard and no phone.
there would have to be a
Also, if
trampoline
you're
lifeguard.
just jumping, I think it'd maybe be fine. Like, obviously, you can still get hurt just jumping, but I
Yeah.
think that you would be trying to do tricks and shit, and then that's
Right.
when things would go wrong.
And I think this is one of those cases where Eve desperately would prefer to disagree with me here, but yet the
No, like,
reality
I
is
mean, look,
we
it
know Dana
sounds
would be
fun
filming
as
content.
fuck. Like,
And
I'd
wouldn't
be
it be
on there,
fun?
bro.
Yeah,
like,
like,
I'd be,
yeah.
my ass would be on that trampoline,
Yeah.
okay? But then I would also end up in, like, you know?
you would both be in full
also,
body
I know this because I was
Yeah.
a child gymnast and
And she
I
broke
had
her arm
I broke
many
my arm
times.
twice. I had a
Yeah.
broken ankle. Like I
Yeah.
did not get away from that shit unscathed.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
and it's like when you're a kid and you break stuff, it sucks, but like whatever, it's fine. If you're an adult and you break stuff, like that's like serious
Okay,
business.
I'm imagining this. We get a trampoline. For some reason, you both break a bunch of stuff. You're both in full body casts, and then like I rush in, maybe like with your mom, maybe with all of your friends and family. We all rush into the room at the same time to visit you for the first time, and they're like, "Oh my god, what happened?" And Eve just like threw her cast, goes,
Chubb sprayed me with piss.
"What?"
Well, you sprayed me when I was on the trampoline and I was
that's what
so
made you-
distraught.
Oh my
that-
god! And then I'm like,
I
I
hurt
didn't spray
myself
you when
on
you're
the
on the trampoline, and
trampoline.
you're like,
My closet. There's a shirt in the bag. Sprayed with piss.
That's the DNA.
That's the
It
DNA.
is.
But here's what I would also reject about the trampoline debate, because now we're debating what type of advocate or lifeguard will be needed to when Dana gets the trampoline.
Yeah.
She's changed it from should I get the trampoline, should I not to? Obviously, I'm getting the trampoline. What sort of coach or
Look,
lifeguard?
I do think if you're going to kill yourself without it, then it's
to
a
me,
good
it's like-
option.
to me,
But
it's like-
this reminds me of something Dana
what's-
did. It's a Dana fake compromise. Like one time Dana came to me and she said, Robert, I'm painting our entire room hot pink. And I said, Dana, I don't think you should paint our room hot pink. It's colorful enough as it is. And she goes, okay, how about this? I'll paint one wall hot pink. You get to pick the wall. I'm like, that's not because I'm saying paint no walls. You saying pick the wall is
But
not
that is
really a
literally
compromise.
If
That's not
I
really
start
a
out, like,
compromise.
I want to paint the whole room, and you say no, and I say okay, one wall, and you get to pick the wall.
It's
It's
like
like
if you
that is
said-
compromise.
if-
Also, I will point out none of the walls are painted.
But, and even without painted walls, you can tell at home this is the most colorful room anyone's ever been in. Am I wrong? But to me, that's like
Comment
you said,
if you think that the walls could use a little color.
It's like if you said, Robert, I'm gonna chop off one of your fingers, and I say, no, don't do that, and you say, but I'll let you pick the finger. That's not
and you
really
say,
a
and you
compromise.
finger, but the anonymous piss.
I'm not getting an anonymous piss finger. Well, that also would be a piece of evidence. Only one of the two of us has a piss finger. I feel like that would make you suspect one.
Well, how do they know I have a piss finger?
It would be known. Also,
How would it be
in this
known?
world where I think we would have a registry in this world where everyone has
hate
like
that.
It's
I
like
hate
blood
that.
type.
Yeah.
It's
I hate
it's fingy
that.
liquid
What-
type.
what-
That there's a
liquids do they have in
registry
their
for the
fingernails?
liquids. But what if we're like secret superheroes and
Whose life would be saved by a piss
no, but
finger?
it's just like nobody else has them. Like we're secret.
us?
Yeah, nobody knows about it.
So if I want,
I wonder if you could
I
also
wanna
sell. I actually have a new purpose for your piss finger. You
Oh,
could sell
selling
it
stuff?
for drug.
I think that's really smart to sell the anonymous piss for like drug tests.
Well, sorry, we just took a little break. I don't know if you could tell. We took a little pee break, and it's weird. When I was peeing, there was something weird about the toilet. Almost as if it was like a fake toilet. Someone
But you
built
didn't
to
like pee in it,
collect
right?
pee.
Because you could get framed.
What?
You could get framed for piss gun
I'm
crimes.
happy to announce I got a book deal. Okay. And I already know the title.
I would love to see. I want to sit in with you and publishers. This would be worth this happening to me if I got to sit in with publishers to Eve being like, so it's if I did the piss gun.
And then it's like, I don't know what the OJ one looks like, but I would definitely do an homage to the cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this reminded me of a story. The very first time I drove myself to school, so I had just gotten like my license, and it was my first time driving myself to school alone. And I had to stop at the gas station, and as I'm getting out of my car at the gas station, because I think I was like getting like water or something inside, a man runs up, stops me, and goes, "Do you have clean piss?" And I go, "What?"
Oh, what
and
the
He goes,
fuck?
"Come on, do you have any like a clean urine? I can give you like $50. I just need some clean urine, man. Seriously." And I was like, no. And I was kind of shaken again. I'm like, this is my first time out on my own. I'm really kind of like freaked out. And as I'm getting like back to my car shaken, like a businessman is getting into his car right next to me, and he just looks at me and goes, "Did he ask you for piss?" And I went, "Yeah." And he went, "Yeah."
It's like he's always asking people for
And
piss.
suddenly I wasn't alone.
Yeah.
And there was
That's
something so beautiful
crazy,
about that.
camaraderie
bro.
of the two.
You know what would be epic is if you were on drugs and you were like, yeah. And then you gave him your dirty
drug
piss.
piss.
And then he
You're-
failed.
What is this that you're always trying to frame people with piss? Even in this, you're like, it'll be epic if you
I'll
framed
have
him.
anonymous piss and then I'll have drug piss for when I want people to fail.
All right, you're two
They're
fingers in.
drugged.
They're both pee, and one is vague drug pee.
Well, I guess the anonymous pee can be drug pee. We can combine it. It can still be anonymous and
Okay.
Yeah, there's no reason
drugged.
it needs to be drug free.
There's no reason it needs to be drug-free.
You're still able to shoot someone with it, even if it's
Yeah.
just
like,
drugs.
did that guy ever have success?
With
Yeah,
the pee?
probably.
Like asking people? Did somebody say yes?
I don't know. Here's the thing. I would, on the one hand, I would say obviously not, but also it's like $50 is $50, and if you
I
got someone on a desperate day,
guess.
dude, if you caught me on a desperate day,
You would say
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Here's my thing with that is like, okay, part of
I
the
just
reason
said 50's not enough.
part of the reason I would
but if you have 0, 50 is everything.
But then if I don't know.
part of the reason it's like I
Okay.
would give someone piss is like depending on their job, I don't really believe that like companies should have
Well,
a
there's some
say
that's like it's
in,
like weed or something, and it's like
Yeah.
even if you haven't smoked weed in like 6 months or something, like
Well,
it still stays.
this was an episode of Atlanta.
in your
Do you remember
system.
this episode of Atlanta? It was like I think it's the first episode, one of the early episodes of Atlanta season 1.
I've seen it, but I haven't seen it in a
where
while.
Donald Glover, Jay-Z Beats character, they have a kid together, obviously, and she's a teacher, and she like I think loses her job because she like fails a drug test, and the whole episode is about her trying to get clean piss
It's a great. It sounds like
because
a,
she like smoked weed.
I vaguely
Right,
remember
or
this,
whatever.
but also
Yeah, if
even if
you
I
like-
hadn't seen it, that sounds like a great app.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
smoke, I always think
But
that
it's like
about
you can
like
really derail your life. Like these like
Yeah.
random drug tests that again do test for like things like weed that are
right,
legal
and
in
it's
certain
legal.
states but
I
aren't
don't. I
federally
always thought that
legal.
was weird. That if you work for like
I always thought
the
like
state
with
or
athlete
something.
urine tests, the fact that you can get like pulled for weed is so weird because I'm like that doesn't enhance your performance.
I don't think they do
Like,
it anymore, but like there
yeah.
were athletes. I'm thinking of one specifically where I don't know why I'm not naming them as if it's like
Right,
as,
as
if
if
I'm
they're
a
gonna
buddy.
sue
It's
you,
Josh
yeah.
Gordon. If I'm
Right.
not mistaken, he
I
might have
don't
been doing
even
other
know
drugs.
who
I don't know,
that
but I
is,
think it was just
so-
weed.
Yeah.
He kept getting popped for weed.
Yeah.
And his whole career basically ended
And
because it
to
kept
me, that
happening.
seems-
Ricky Williams famously, I think he got suspended for a full year
wow.
because he failed like
If
13
anything, it would make you
urine
worse.
tests.
To be
To me
honest,
though, I'm like, okay, here's my thing. It's like I think I see both sides where it's like if you really can't be clean from weed for like whatever, like
You
30
are
days,
addicted to weed.
then you're addicted to weed, and that should be like a flag to you, like oh, like I
Yeah.
should figure this out. But I am like, I also don't think it's quote unquote like fair that is anyone's business.
I don't think weed should be
Part of the drug
penalized.
screening, yeah.
But on the other hand, I'm like, if you know
really-
it's penalized,
yeah,
stop.
then stop. If you know it's penalized, and like also like especially if you have this like crazy job like in the NFL or whatever, like that should be enough
But
for
like
you to
teachers
not
are
do
already
it.
like.
But teachers are already so underpaid. Like that's
enough
I think
as it is.
the
Like
teacher
the
thing
teachers
really
are like
But
let
I
them
almost
smoke
get the
weed in their
teacher
free
thing more
time.
because you are around children.
But in the
but to me,
free
like, but yeah, it doesn't
time,
matter. Like
and they're-
and you can't tell when someone's smoking weed
in their own
Like they're not necessarily
homes,
showing up to
like,
school stoned just
on
because
summer
they're
break, on
I
summer
mean-
break, they can't have a little.
yeah. And weed famously does stay in your system for like up to 60
And
days.
by the way, here's if you're sensing like I'm being a bit of a square, here's my deal. It's like I just do have a bias because I don't smoke weed that I'm like, if you do smoke weed, you know what I mean? I'm
You're
like,
a
just knock it
fucking
off.
degenerate.
Yeah.
Well, it is like there is like that whole type of guy. specifically picturing a guy or like people in LA specifically where it's like they act like they're not addicted to weed, but it's like they smoke it first thing in the morning, last thing before. Like, you're addicted to this thing. Stop pretending that it's the same thing as coffee.
Yes. I was definitely addicted to weed, but I was never like a liar about it. Like, I feel like I was always like, no, I'm addicted to weed.
Yeah, you were very much like, I'm addicted to weed. But I would say like I was lying to myself. I was like, oh no, I'm not addicted. I just like it. Well, but I'm like, no, I was addicted because also now that I've stopped, how come I don't want it anymore?
Right. No, also, I was very
how
like,
come like when I stopped for 3 months, I was like literally so anxious every night during the time when I used to smoke it.
Also, because I think weed should be totally legal and not penalized at all.
No, 100%. Also, like again, I think it can really help
like
people.
More like more like people I know. Where I'm like, you're addicted to weed. Stop acting like it's like you're you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think like that's also people are lying to themselves. Also, weed is addictive. Let's be like so for real.
Well,
like
that is the biggest myth. That is the biggest myth. That's not addictive.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is addictive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
even if
like maybe that addiction won't ruin your life like other drugs, but it is still addictive.
Also, it is just also it's in a way it's like it is just like it's a form of emotional regulation, I guess, which isn't inherently bad. But I'm just saying like let's not pretend, you know.
Yeah.
This also
and maybe not as addictive. Like maybe it's less addictive. Than other things. And there's no like big withdrawal like physically.
Right. Yeah.
But there's a lot of mental addiction.
Well, as Dana says, the hard thing is like the emotional withdrawal. Like you have to learn to regulate your own emotions.
Well,
At the end of the day, you have to learn how to chill out.
You also realize like the yearning to numb.
I sound like such a cop when I talk about this stuff.
The yearning to numb does come from like you maybe not dealing with real thoughts and feelings that you should be like dealing with. And like for me at least, like I realized like weed was something I was using because it's like I was bored. I was smoking weed because I was bored. But here's the thing: is boredom exists for a reason, and it exists for you to find like better ways to spend your time.
Yeah.
Like, and I realized like the opportunity cost of like dulling my boredom with weed was that I wasn't like actively engaged with like other, you know, hobbies or interests I could be cultivating.
Also learning, okay, two things. And this is more not necessarily about weed, but in general. It's like if you are like feeling anxiety and stress, there's two things about that. One, you have to learn. Sometimes that's a signal that something is off and you need to change it. So just dulling the feeling actually is like you're not actually fixing the root of the problem. Like sometimes you're anxious because there's something you need to change about your life. On the flip side, if you're feeling anxiety and stress, that's normal and you need to learn to calm yourself down.
Yes.
So on the one hand, it's like it could be a sign you need to make real changes in your life. On the other hand, it's like you need to learn to calm.
Yeah.
I could already see people being like, my Nana was blah, 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 blah. And then she smoked weed and now she's 30 years old.
My grandpa
it turned her into Benjamin Benjamina Button.
My child is autistic. He needs to smoke weed every day.
People would say shit like that, bro. They would say shit like that.
Dude, that exists. I haven't seen it, but I bet that exists. My child needs to smoke weed every day. My toddler needs to get high.
But I will say, I'm like, no, I think it's real that like, dude, so many people in our society today, because there are so many like hacks to solve anxiety, such as like weed is so accessible, people don't learn how to just like sit with like, oh, like, yeah, sometimes you're stressed. Like, learn how to sit with it. Yeah. Learn how to like let it pass.
Sometimes again, there's a challenge. Like I always say this isn't about weed, but I say this about people in New York. Because New York is big therapy culture.
Yes.
It's also like the most stressful city in the world.
Yeah.
There's so much stimulus. It's a very stressful environment. Everything is so expensive. It's stressful. So to me, I'm like, if you're like anxious or depressed in New York and you're going to therapy, the first thing your therapist should be saying is, have you tried not living in New York?
Yeah.
That should be number one.
That should be number one.
And hey, if you move to Cleveland and you're still stressed, great. Head back to New York. You prove that's not the problem. But it's
like,
this thing of like, I am unwilling to change any of my behavior or circumstances, yet I am stressed all the time. It's like, hey, sometimes it's like, I don't know.
Sometimes stress is an indicator that you need to make a change.
Yeah.
And also like, okay, like I guess off of New York, I'm like, dude, New York is crazy. New York is a psyop. If you're living in New York and you're up and you don't feel good, it's cause of New York. I really am like, it's cause of New York. Robert and I always talk about how like you'll be in New York and someone will just like scream on the subway, and real New Yorkers are always like, oh yeah, that's New York. Like there's someone like just screaming their ass off, and it's like I never want to be so numb and like that's New York that I feel like I have to like actively ignore the person screaming on the subway.
Because if someone screams right next to you in the subway and you go, hey, are you okay? You just scream,
everyone,
you're crazy.
You're crazy.
People
Everyone
look
else
at you
you're
like
crazy.
You don't get it. Yeah. Or also like we walked into a diner and the diner happened to be cash only, and the lady behind the counter goes, Hilton. And what she was saying was, oh,
Like,
there's an ATM in the lobby of the Hilton.
But she
because the city had broken her down. That's how you have to communicate. Hilton.
Well, and I saw someone saying they're like, New Yorkers view it as a sign of respect that they efficiently communicate. And I'm like, they're rude.
It's
like,
not
a lot of times
efficiency.
it's not efficiently communicating. Also, because it's like, it takes me even longer to understand what you're trying to communicate.
Yeah.
But maybe, again, we're just LA folk, I guess.
Here's the thing. If you
I
walk
mean,
up to...
there are wackos in LA too.
There are wackos
But
in
it's
LA,
different.
but it's a different kind of
breed.
wacko.
Well, in LA, as I say, when people are like, I'm really stressed and anxious, I would say, well, have you tried giving up your quest to become the most famous person on the planet?
Yeah.
That's number one.
That's
you know what
number
I mean?
one.
It's like, so in New York, if you're stressed, have you considered not living in New York? In LA, if you're stressed, have you considered not spending every waking hour of every day trying to become the most famous person on the planet? That would be my thing. But again, they're huge therapy cultures in both cities, and every therapist is like, yeah, no, it's because your dad was a narcissist one time 20 years ago. That's why you're stressed. It's like, maybe, probably that too. But there's concrete factors.
Like, there's always things that you could do that would improve your situation other than just like talk. Like, and again, talk therapy is only effective to the extent that like you're talking in order to diagnose, find problems, and then solve
It's
them.
paired with action.
It's not actually productive to just go and like talk about your problems. Like, how is that helping you? And that is so many people that like we know who are like addicted to therapy is like, I'm like, you're not making any like behavioral changes in your life. Also, I'm like, it's called cognitive behavioral therapy, and a lot of people are not doing the B part of
and again,
this.
not anti-therapy.
They're
Go to
not.
therapy. But do the action.
100%. But like,
Pair it
you
with
need
action.
to be making
Dude,
changes.
I said something to that effect one time.
Yeah.
Like I said it one time, and then another guy immediately disagreed with me and was like, no, everyone should be in therapy all the time, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm looking at him, and he was wearing a dirty shirt. And I'm like, you don't need therapy. You need to wash your
Yeah,
shirt.
some
Or
people
if you're
just need
in
a clean
therapy,
shirt.
every conversation, your therapist should be like, we're going to laundromat.
Yeah.
And if that's not what you're doing, then that therapist is scamming you.
Yeah, I agree.
You're wearing a dirty shirt.
I agree.
You're like, everyone should be in therapy. You need to wash your shirt first.
And again, there's someone on TikTok said this, but it's like, if you don't exercise at least 4 times a week, you don't know if you're depressed. If you think you're depressed, but you don't regularly exercise, you might be depressed, but you
But
actually
just,
have
like,
no
go outside.
idea
And
until
that could
you
mean,
start
like, going on a walk.
exercising.
Too. It could be anything.
Doesn't have to be like intense or anything.
No.
Again,
Just, like,
if
something.
you are someone who is like having emotional and mental problems, and like you need a therapist to be able to get you to do those things, great, do that. But it is just like, if you have a dirty shirt and you're going to therapy, the most helpful thing your therapist could do is say, let's wash your shirt.
Yes. Let's go wash your shirt together.
Yeah. And if you're in New York and you have a dirty shirt, they should say, let's go wash your shirt in Cleveland.
In Cleveland. Let's go wash your shirt in a different city.
And go to a different city and wash your shirt.
That's more calm and whatever. I will also say about like weed, and I made a TikTok about this, but I'm like, so much of like what I realized when I quit weed was like, it is normal to be bored. Like, it's not the end of the world to like be like, oh, I'm not like completely like stimulated or like feeling like, whoa, right now. Like, it's like, it's normal.
But also, you just find other things to fill the space.
Yeah.
Also,
Like,
if you
but
want to
also
smoke weed, that's great. But then just like, let's be cognizant of what's being done here.
And if you are like smoking weed all the time, that's probably not the best thing.
Right. And that was me, and I was not delusional. And I was like, yo, I be addicted to weed though.
Which I also, dare I say, think it made it easy for Eve to quit. Was that Eve was always honest
about
like,
the fact that
hey,
I'm
I love
addicted.
to smoke weed, and I'm smoking weed. It rocks. And then as soon as she's like, I'll stop. And then she was able to stop because mentally, she was not being dishonest about the role weed was playing.
But I was, which I think was why it was harder for me to stop.
Yeah.
I didn't acknowledge that like I was actually a crazy psycho stoner.
And now, instead of like Eve's mental energy being like dampened by weed, it's being put to use by thinking, how many people could I spray with piss? And how could I get away with it?
Things.
These
And I
are
can write my
important
book.
Yeah.
And I can write my book of if I did the piss gun.
If she did the piss gun.
So, there's bitches who are going to be like, if I don't wear a dirty shirt and leave LA or New York, my body immediately disintegrates.
My son needs to have a dirty shirt. He's really autistic.
I cannot survive outside of LA or New York without weed.
And at the end of the day, too, I'm like, if you are unwilling to make changes in your life, Godspeed.
But it's like everybody always thinks they're the exception.
Yeah.
To like whatever. Like if you're like, oh, you should move your body 4 times a week. They're like, well, actually,
I can't do that because
I cut off both of my legs because they produced anonymous piss and I didn't want to get caught.
They produce anonymous piss. You didn't even bring up legs. Your legs produce anonymous piss. Well, if someone's like, oh, I can't exercise 4 times a week. I can't exercise 4 times a week and I'm in therapy every day. It's like, sure, but I know you're not in therapy talking about how can we kind of find the motivation to kind of get active. You're in therapy talking about this one time your kindergarten teacher called on someone else and why that's a sign they're a narcissist.
Yeah. If you don't regularly exercise and leave your house and do your laundry, talking about what your kindergarten teacher did to you is literally not going to help you.
Start with washing shirts.
Unless they did something really bad.
Unless they did something really bad.
You still need to do your laundry and go for walks.
Dude, we're gonna get. I'm just prepping myself for a comment that's like my kindergarten teacher. My kindergarten teacher sprayed me with an anonymous piss finger and then chopped off their finger and framed me, and I went to jail because they framed me for piss crimes. I'm in the piss crimes wing of the jail.
That's where you're going, bro.
Law and Order PCU.
Don't point that finger at me.
Law and Order PCU, piss crimes
Dude,
unit.
I would love that as a show.
Maybe I need to use one of my fingers on anonymous piss just so I can, like, when Eve shoots me, I can shoot back.
It's like
Harry and Voldemort,
like, with the wands.
The boy who lived, come to piss.
Yeah. But also, like, I know for a fact if any of this is clipped, like, bitches gonna be like, people are always trying to find the one little thing. Like, they know what people are.
You know what I mean.
They know what you're saying.
They know what you mean.
And but then they just love to come up with like the most niche like exceptions to the rule.
Yeah, they know what you're saying.
We see you contrarians.
What if
And
my
we
feet are nailed into the ground in New York?
Right.
What then?
What then?
And it's like, okay, I guess your feet are nailed into the ground.
Okay.
Then that doesn't apply to you. Then disregard.
Yeah.
If your feet are nailed to the ground in New York, disregard.
Or you'll say things, dude, this is like one of my, this is the thing that the internet never, ever wants to be like a little chill to their own parents. So if you're like, oh, you know, your parents, generally speaking, they tried their best. You should try to give them a break whenever possible. My parents would unhinge their jaws and then snakes would slither out and then the snakes would bite me and then my parents would shoot me with piss fingers. I'm like, all right, maybe you shouldn't forgive them.
My body doesn't run on oxygen. I can only inhale weed smoke to survive. It's like, okay.
You're different.
Good
night, young old. Don't get framed with a piss finger.
You're the exception, but you get one.